Axolotls, the amazing amphibian of the Americas, the surreal salamander of society, able to grow old without growing old. An ancient Aztec god? They're an animal that's everywhere, yet nowhere. Schrodinger's salamander, if you will. In recent years, these aquatic animals have gained a lot of attention, spawning in games, in merch, and even as personas. And despite being around for the last 10,000 years, they've only recently gained mainstream attention. Where did they come from? And more importantly, what makes this epic creature so special? Let's find out. And hi everyone, my name is Stormi the Folf, and well, let's talk about axolotls. Now before you axolotl questions, when I first discovered these beans, I honestly didn't think they were real. Like, this heckin' bean is putting on a full smile for the world to see. This has to be photoshopped, right? Or perhaps there's more that meets the eye. So where, when, and how did they become so popular? And can you own one? What makes them so special? In June of 2021, axolotls exploded with popularity following Minecraft's Caves and Cliffs update, much to the delight of Minecraft players all around the world. Since then, they've ballooned in popularity, and it turns out axolotls are a hot topic at the, Hot Topic. No, seriously, look at all that merch. What's even more surprising is that searching for axolotls on Google Trends reveals that they're a big topic in the state of Idaho? Wait, aren't you already the potato capital of the world? What the heck do potatoes and axolotls have in common anyway? So, what exactly are axolotls? They're an unusual salamander species compared to other amphibians, characterized by their baby-like appearance. They're able to grow into adulthood without undergoing metamorphosis. In most cases, they never grow up, forever stuck in a juvenile state, never to experience the woes of adulthood like bills and back pain. Oh my god, my bones actually popped doing that. They're an enigma of the salamander species. And if you're like me and have been out of school since Windows Vista, salamanders are amphibians typically characterized by their lizard-like appearance, slender bodies, blunt snouts, and short limbs. They kind of look like frogs that got turned into lizards. Wait, isn't that all salamanders? Some salamanders, like the rough-skinned newt, are known to exude a strong toxin from their skin. Thankfully, that's not the case for axolotls. In fact, a healthy axolotl isn't dangerous to humans at all. In the wild, axolotls are normally dark-colored, but all axolotls can shift hues lighter or darker as needed for camouflage. It's like a free license to Photoshop or something. That's right. Turns out there are in fact different shades of axolotls, some of which you can see on my shirt. Like white albino, copper, black melanoid, chimera, lavender, and more. There's even the controversial artificial firefly axolotl. The science here is a little more in-depth, but if you want to learn more, head over to axolotlcentral.com. Hashtag not sponsored. Additionally, the popularized pink variants aren't wild axolotls either, but rather a result of being bred by humans as pets for aesthetic reasons. They typically grow up to 9 inches long and live up to 10 to 15 years in the wild, living off a carnivorous diet. But for now, take a look at that snout. No! No! Seriously, look at that smile. You can't say no to that face. I guess you could say they smile a lot. Like, if this bean sold me $1 for $5, I'd buy like hundreds of them, and then I'd sell my heckin' car, my kidney, my fursuit. Okay, maybe not that, but in any case, you can't deny the excessively elevated adorability factor of this angelic amphibian. That's like saying water's wet. Water's not wet, but amphibians are. Kind of. Anyway, While it may appear the axolotl is grinning away like a Cheshire cat, what you're actually witnessing is a physical side effect of them swallowing food. When an axolotl eats, they open their mouths nice and wide to let in a generous amount of water and food. More interestingly, however, some axolotls have slightly upturned mouths, making it look like they're actually smiling all the time. Not just when eating, but all the time. In most cases, axolotls retain their baby-like features their entire life, and by that, I mean they're literally toothless, food-sucking aquatic beings. But speaking of toothless, the axolotl actually inspired the look of Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon. This little salamander was single-handedly responsible for one of the most successful dragon movie franchises of all time. Yes, this is a true story. Insert source here. And that's not bad for a little amphibian. The axolotl can technically survive on damp land, although it's very taxing on its body. And should it stay there, it can actually transform into an adult, land-based axolotl salamander. Actually, it turns out that this is in fact not true. While axolotls can indeed survive on land, most will not survive beyond an hour's time. Even so, precautions must be taken to ensure their respiratory and physical health. Forced mutation of an axolotl through extended exposure to land is a myth. However, that's not to say axolotls can't mutate through other means, like through reproduction, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Discovery of this trait and others, like regenerative brain growth, has led to major advancements in medical science, opening up the window to potentially being able to regenerate parts of ourselves. There is so much, and yet so little, we understand about the humble axolotl. It's even theorized that axolotls are over 1,000 times more resistant to cancer than mammals. This little being has even helped scientists understand how organs develop, embryo cells, and even what causes spina bifida in humans. Needless to say, we owe a lot to this little being, and probably more in the future. And while it's true that we as a species dwarf this amphibian in size, you'll never outswim this aquatic athlete. Turns out, they can be pretty fast swimmers, outpacing even the fastest Olympic swimmers at 10 miles per hour. That's nearly twice the speed of the fastest swimmer on record. But the axolotl also has a cultural significance. The axolotl's name originates from the ancient Aztec god Xolotl. This god of fire and lightning disguised himself as a salamander in an attempt to escape being sacrificed. The word axolotl translates to water monster. Regardless of what you believe, it's hard not to imagine this creature as godlike when it possesses the ability to regenerate missing limbs, organs, and even parts of its brain. Imagine if we could take advantage of those physiological features and apply them to ourselves someday. In some ways, the axolotl is an enigma of life on our planet. And I don't know about you, but if the world ever gets taken over by axolotls, especially gigantic axolotls, we're in trouble. All joking aside, while we may not be in trouble, the axolotl is. Outside of pet ownership, the axolotl's only natural habitat is Lake Xochimilco in Mexico City, an ancient lake that's unfortunately plagued with heavy pollution and non-native animals who, eat them. So maybe you're feeling bold and thinking about catching an axolotl in the wild? You probably have a better chance of finding the Loch Ness monster, and even if you could, there is a chance you're not even allowed to own one. You see, not everything is all happiness and sunshine with the axolotl. Remember when I said this species is nowhere, yet everywhere? The axolotl suffers from something called the conservation paradox. This species is critically endangered, with around a few thousand surviving in the wild, and yet as many as 1 million domesticated. They are the most popular distributed amphibian in the world, found in aquariums and laboratories all over. So what's the problem if the species appears to be thriving outside of its natural habitat? Reproduction. Because the species is living without the same diversity as their natural habitat, this has introduced some new problems with newborn axolotls suffering from genetic disorders. Efforts are being made to reintroduce the species back into the wild of Mexico, placing pressure on the government to act. But in the meantime, their future remains uncertain, and whatever the case may be, it's clear they're aware, because in 2021, the Bank of Mexico introduced a new 50 peso bill featuring the axolotl. That's just hecking cool, okay? All right, that's just awesome. But even if you can't own an axolotl, that doesn't mean you can't make an axolotl persona. I'm honestly shocked at how rare these personas are in the furry fandom. What's not to love about them? In my research, I only located a few axolotls and a whopping 2 axolotl fursuits. Literally just 2. What the heck, guys? Come on, we've got like 1,000,001 canines and 2 little axolotls. Y'all, we gotta do better than this. At least amp waves are catching on. It's just really surprising to me how popular the species has become, especially in pop culture, but not so much in the furry fandom. It's one of, if not the most popular pet amphibian in the world, but somehow one of the least popular persona species? Maybe I should make a guide on how to draw an anthropomorphic axolotl? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I really hope y'all enjoyed this informative take on this magical salamander. If you can think of any other weird species I should cover, please let me know down in the comments. And of course, like and subscribe, bing the bell, and if you really want to support me, consider joining me on my Patreon for perks like early access to vids, my Discord server, deleted scenes, and more. A lot more.